If you've heard the phrase, "that was worth waiting for," that would sum up our return to the Maximum Basketball League. MBL action from the high school for Recording Arts in St. Paul. I'm Mike Beaton. Here I am all by myself talking to myself. We're going to jump right into this game with the Chicago Legends and the Minnesota Bulldogs. Chicago Legends wearing the gold and Minnesota wearing the black. And one reason we're jumping right into this game, it's the season opener, and not a lot of information was available on the MBL website, so any sort of pretense would be mostly generic and pure speculation. So we're going to get things started. We will remind you that if you watched our coverage years ago of the Minnesota Lakers right here, it's the same league. They've switched from a spring-summer season to a fall-winter season. They play with NBA rules. And we are getting the last tidbits sorted out. Chicago is getting one last stretch before we get underway. No, they're stretching right before tip-off. Well, this is unusual, but we're underway. Minnesota will get the first possession, and we'll get you up to speed on names and numbers as we make our way through. Long three, offline. Sprint for the rebound, picked up by Chicago. Again, they're wearing the gold. That was Darren McDonald on the rebound. Again, NBA rules, so 4 12-minute quarters. Mid-range J drops in for Derek McDonald, our first bucket of the 2024-25 NBL season. Clark backs off, goes to Skelski. Long skip. And trying to squeeze through the hole, can't get the bounce. Second try. As you can see, we are using the 24-second reset. Great pressure up top. That's going to lead to a fast break. Lay-in for Adonis Bailey. I thought we were going to see a slam for a moment, but Bailey thought better of it. And as long as it goes in, that's what counts. So Chicago off to a 4-0 lead. There we go. They had the score 6-0. Well, that's not right. Now it's 4-2 as Hakeem Cuby leans his way into the lane. A lot of these men that you see had high school and college backgrounds, hoping to perhaps play their way up, a way to stay involved, and a few connections from our last stint here as we get a 3-point connection from Martell Stokes. Would go on to play other levels of basketball and in some cases coach. Tamara Moore comes to mind. She once coached the TC Elite, now a scout for the Dallas Mavericks. Kyle Sikelski with a strong move in the paint. And offense coming in bunches in the early going. 7-4 the score, Chicago over Minnesota. Season opener, Minnesota has 5 home games on the schedule for 2024. The floater doesn't drop for Chicago. Minnesota on the move with those 24-second shot clocks. That makes for really quick basketball. Of course, if you watch the TSB Television YouTube channel, you're used to our high school coverage. High school hoops getting a shot clock last year. Off the inbound, the 3 drops in for Terrell Clark, and that evens the score at 7. Still early in the first quarter, and if you've watched NBA games, you know 48 minutes is a long time. Just about anything can happen. A slide through the lane produces nothing for Adonis Bailey. Ball goes out of bounds. Minnesota gets another crack at it. Clark feeds it. The triangle play. Oh, okay, stayed on the floor. I thought QB was going to get called for a travel. Instead, we'll have a 3 from the corner. Sikelski can't knock it down. Thought the pump fake was going to fake him out. That will be a foul on the push from Armani Scott against Martell Stokes. Bulldogs have their full complement of players, just about. Chicago, they can go too deep. And the Legends send in a sub in the early going. That is John Montgomery, number 21. Gets a touch here. Finds Stevens, lets it fly off the rim. Rebound collected by Dekai Hines. Terrell Clark hands it over. Sikelski. Chicago breaks up the pass, gets the steal. Legends with a couple of chances there. Montgomery and McDonald both had looks. Neither could convert. Minnesota will cash in on the other end. Akeem Cuby with his second field goal. Off the screen. Bounce pass inside. The fadeaway not there. McDonald able to tip it over to Montgomery. The 3 goes around but not in. Clark. Hacked. More substitutions checking in. Among them, Elijah Saba from Minnesota. Foul is on the floor. Both sides with just 1 foul each, and again, we play with NBA rules, so we'll be tabulating them by quarter. Minnesota inside again. Free throws coming for Akeem Cuby. Cuby with 4 points in the early going, 9-7 the score. Saba had to be directed on where to go. We'll get things sorted out. QB missing the front end. Now another chat. QB will try again. He'll get the split. But again, still early. Season opener. Games kicked off earlier this week, some last weekend. Mid-range J drops in again for Martell Stokes. He's got a pair of field goals. 5 minutes in, 10-9. Chicago got here a little later than scheduled. Long 2, swish for number 23. That is Sean Scott. We're working on names and numbers as we make our way through. Chicago cannot respond. Minnesota with a chance to pad their lead. They haven't led by more than a possession. Saba with a nice feed to Hines. The bounce pass for 2. Dekai Hines on the board. The fan base is getting into it here at the High School for Recording Arts. It's getting loud. And Darren McDonald speaking volumes with that fadeaway. Clark. Pass tipped slightly, but Saba had a wide open lane, drives through it. Hines cleans up the mess. Took him a couple of chances, a couple of cracks, but he got it done. Under 6 to play in the first. Chicago taking their time. This is Montgomery. Pulls up after the side fade, and that shot went everywhere but in. QB. Oh, right idea, but the pass was a little premature. And Terrell Clark won't have a scoring play to show for it, but again, long way to go. 5:20 left in the first quarter, 16-11. And the Legends will take a timeout. 5:20 left in the first, Minnesota up by 5.
When the high school season is over, TSB Television goes on the highlight trail. Our highlight reels provide you with a valuable resource for recruiters and a keepsake of your favorite athlete. To learn more about our highlight reel services, contact us at tsbtelevision@gmail.com.
Latecomers strolling in with 5:20 to go in the first quarter as we resume play in St. Paul High School for Recording Arts. If you followed our MBL coverage from years ago, it's the same league, same location, different teams. The Lakers aren't around anymore, but I have called a few games with their former head coach, Jason Sandifer, who is now part of the coaching staff at St. Agnes, where his daughter plays. 7 to shoot for the Legends. Stevens lost it. Saba with the takeaway. Clean strip by Chicago, much to the dismay of Hines. And Saba having a word with the Minnesota fans in attendance. So just an inbound. The fadeaway short. Chicago tracking down the rebound. Pretty clean game so far. Not a ton of fouls. Here's an NBA three. And J.J. Stevens drills it. They don't have the NBA markings. They have the former college markings for three-point land. But Minnesota says layups in the lane work just as well. That was Terrell Clark. He's got 5. And we continue this back and forth duel in the opening frame. Stokes, pass deflected, goes out of play. The clock ran for a couple of seconds, so we've got 4 on the shot clock. They'll reset to 14. 4:02 left in the first. It's the season opener. Everyone is getting their legs under them, and for me, it's my first basketball broadcast in 5 months. Terrell Clark, hold up, double dribble. That could have been hilarious, though, if it kept going. That happened to me one time when I played a pickup kickball game. It wasn't my turn, but someone kicked a foul ball. It wasn't signaled, and it turned into a bonkers sequence. Players tumbling all over the place, and none of it counted. That's going to be a foul, and getting the shooting motion is number 23, Jalen Catledge. Catledge. This is the first one. This is the first free throw trip for the Chicago Legends. And again, we will hopefully provide coverage of all the home games on the schedule. There are a lot of road games for the Bulldogs this season. As Catledge splits. Just one trip to the free throw line so far. And both sides getting a split. That's Clark calling out a play. Saba. Poke from behind. It will stay with Minnesota with 15 on the shot clock. Saba launches, connects. His first field goal, it's a 3. Largest lead for Minnesota, 21-15. Whoa, I thought the ball was coming here, and Tristan thought so too. We both really ducked for cover. The alley-oop is broken up. Saba was fouled as he was straddling the sideline. And he gets a high five from a longtime fan and a good friend of mine. One more foul to give for the Legends with 3:15 to go in the first. The dump nearly taken away. QB bumped. Minnesota got the timeout call in before the play, so with 3 minutes to go, Minnesota holds on to a 6-point lead. They'll have 8 to shoot when we return.
Mic'd Up Sports is TSB Television's talk show series. Available on all major podcast platforms, we offer sports figures, past and present, a place to convey stories and adventures on a deeper level than our traditional game coverage. Whether you're a superstar athlete or someone who works behind the scenes, we'd be honored to share your story. If you'd like to be a guest, contact us at The Mike Peden on all major social platforms.
Back to action, 3 minutes left in the first, 8 to shoot for the Bulldogs. So they've got to go. Saba sees the clock and drains the 3. Just like they drew it up. And Minnesota extending their lead. Three-second call. So a technical free throw will be awarded to John Montgomery. The defensive 3-second call doesn't get used often, but came into play there. He can't camp out in the lane. Got to keep somebody within arm's reach. 4 to shoot for Chicago. Can they get there in time? They'll get free throws. Jalen Catledge draws the foul, and that is the last to give for Minnesota in this quarter. Catledge split his last time at the line. No field goals yet for Jalen Catledge. But he sinks the freebies. That will make it 24-20. Or 24-18, I should say. It could be 24-20 in a moment. Montgomery hit on the way up, attempting the alley-oop play. Montgomery also has yet to make a field goal. But Chicago looking to make the most out of these trips to the line. They're doing just that, 6 of 7. They've scored 5 in a row, all at the free throw line. Bringing that pressure defense, but a little too grabby. And a frustrated Derek Hall thought he had a clean strip. Derek Hall, I think you heard him say, "I didn't push." But it's the officials who have the final word. Another touch 3 for Saba. This one's short. Hall for 3. Misfired. Clark trying to force the issue. Had Hall on him, and Clark took a tough fall. It's Chicago ball. They won't get the score. Clark is back up. Saba doesn't see him though. Clark still grimacing a bit as Chicago trying to get in those lanes. Ball goes behind us. 1:05 left on the clock in the first quarter. 24-20 the score.
When the high school season is over, TSB Television goes on the highlight trail. Our highlight reels provide you with a valuable resource for recruiters and a keepsake of your favorite athlete. To learn more about our highlight reel services, contact us at tsbtelevision@gmail.com.
.105 left in the first quarter. Didn't see who made that timeout call. I think it was Minnesota. Yeah, they had the ball. Sikelski had the ball knocked away, but a foul? No, side out. No foul. It is a little tough to make out calls from here because here at the High School for Recording Arts, and I've done games here for at least portions of 3 years with the Lakers. There seems to be some confusion with the scores table. We've got 5 fouls on the board here. Sikelski's going to shoot these free throws at some point. I just don't know when. But the foul tabulation is correct. I was going to say it is tough to tell because we are at eye level most of the time when I'm doing basketball games for TSB or the other stations I'm a part of. I'm usually stationed in the bleachers where I can rise above the competition. Sikelski blanks. To Kai Hines, unable to corral the rebound. Chicago throws it away. Minnesota, what was that? they threw it away, or maybe something went wrong. I don't think I've ever seen an inbound pass like that. It's Chicago ball after that discussion, as we are under a minute in the first. And Clark got a little too grabby. J.J. Stevens having a chat with the fans over here. It's a little more lax, a little less stingy between player and fan interactions compared to the NBA. J.J. Stevens has a three-pointer. And Chicago continuing this run that has come at the free throw line. They have scored the last 6. Now 7. They're not the sexiest way to score, but they do add up. One possession game. Minnesota tried to go fast break. Chicago intercepts. 3 on the way. In and out. Rebound Sikelski. Oh! Sloppy pass. Hines with the block. Minnesota can hold for the last shot of the quarter. But not if that double team has anything to say about it. Clark gets the bump on Sikelski. Now Minnesota has numbers. Extra pass. Saba. Bullseye. His third tray. And a big bucket to end the first quarter. Saba with 3 triples off the bench. And Minnesota leads 27-22. After the first. This is NBL basketball on TSB Television.
Twin Cities Sports Broadcasting, and a whole lot more. That's what you get from TSB Television. We provide long-lasting digital coverage of your favorite athletes from the preps to the pros. Dazzling moves.
Holloman, good if it goes. Yes!
Game winners.
James. She's in trouble. Finds James. Toss shot. It goes in.
And everything in between. Before we let you go, do you want to say hi to anybody?
Oh, I don't know. That put me on the spot there.
If you want to connect with our audience, visit us at patreon.com/TSB Television or sponsor our coverage through PayPal and Cash App. Thank you for watching.
Second quarter underway at the High School for Recording Arts. 27-22. Minnesota leads Chicago. Chicago Legends, that is. There are 2 Chicago teams in the NBL. That will be dead ball rebound for Chicago in the gold. First half or first quarter. I had a feeling that might happen. I cover a lot of high school games. First quarter notables. Saba leads with 9 for Minnesota. And you've got a couple players with 5 for Chicago in Stevens and Stokes. Minnesota with the takeaway as the shot clock was winding down. Clark gets the dish to Saba. Working along the left side. Saba, spin move and the finish. Elijah. Chicago looking for the answer. They won't get it. And the rebound goes to Adam Wright. Wright's got it. Double teamed. We've seen a lot of perimeter pressure from the Legends, and it pays off with another turnover. Elijah, way back when, played his high school ball at Spring Lake Park. And he's been a part of this league for quite some time. You may remember him from TC Elite, but it's Chicago with the ball right now. And scoring on the tape is number 2, Mike Faber. His first bucket of the game. QB. Bullseye. His first 3. And that pushes them up to 8. Chicago wasting little time. Layup not there for Catledge. Second try is. And Catledge sinks his first field goal. But Minnesota stretching out that lead a little bit here with a couple of threes. High-low, and the finish for Clark. He's got 7. Deep 3, bullseye. J.J. Stevens with his second three-pointer. Clark casually strolls it up. Sidearm skip. Saba, no. QB, Clark I should say. But I'm sure QB will appreciate that second chance effort. Clark with 9. That's a foul. Can't grab a player like that. Stevens wanted a flagrant or a tech. Stevens being checked out. Little chirping between the teams, the refs, nothing outlandish. But anytime you put young men or young women, male or female athletes out on the floor, you get into it a little bit, into that game mode. Chicago money at the free throw line. That got them at 10 of 11. J.J. Stevens up to 10. And those free throws helping out the Legends. But Minnesota feeling that three-point stroke. QB knocks down his second triple. 39-28, largest lead of the game. Another deep 3, short. We've seen Stevens flex that range. QB skip to Saba, baseline attack. He'll shoot 2. Elijah Saba, class of 2010. Part of the TC Elite roster for several years that Tamara Moore coached. Again, Tamara now a scout for the Dallas Mavericks after spending a few years as the head coach of Mesabi Range Community College. And as we've stated before, a lot of these athletes are former high school and college players looking to stay involved in the game, maybe move up the ladder. Saba knocks down both. Minnesota, not many trips to the line, just 3 of 6. But that does give them a 13-point lead, 41-28. Catledge. Foul away from the ball. With 8:35 left in the second. The lob. McDonald slicing through, draws the foul on Decoy Hines. Rogue ball strolled in, and this isn't football. Used just one, and only one. McDonald, first trip to the line. Chicago had a chance to tie it up late in the first, and then Saba sank a big three to end the first. Since then, Minnesota finding their three-point rhythm, three-point stroke. And Chicago blinks at the line after 9 straight makes. Minnesota can't escape the jam. Chicago's pressure providing a much-needed lifeline for the Bulldogs. Blocking foul, Saba inside the restricted zone. More free throws for Jalen Catledge, and Minnesota out of fouls to give. This could pose a problem. But now Chicago encountering rough seas. 3 straight misses after 9 straight makes. And given Minnesota's proficiency as of late from 3, that could add up. Chicago 11 of 15. Their pressure unrelenting though. Minnesota does get it across. Bounce pass to Hines, and Decoy scores. That is the risk you run with the full court press. Decoy on the board. Scramble for the ball. Minnesota able to pick it up. No, it went out of bounds. It got a little hectic. But Minnesota did seem a bit apprehensive about the loose ball. A reprieve for Chicago, but the fadeaway is short from McDonald. Clark, no pressure this time from Chicago. They'll run a set defense. Saba to Hines, and Decoy will shoot 2. If you're wondering about the number, let's just say at the higher levels you have more flexibility with numerical assignments. You probably have seen that in the NBA. High school and college, you typically don't go past 55. I've always found that to be a little odd. I'd like to see a few more off the beaten path numbers. And Decoy, I don't know if he is a cheeky fellow or not. That is the first player I've ever seen wear number 69. And no, I'm not going there. But Decoy is going for a split. Minnesota 4 of 8. Decoy, graduate of Minneapolis North. Chicago gets a much-needed field goal. It comes from the hand of Martell Stokes, who stokes the corner 3. And then another whistle with 6:59 left in the second. Decoy and Dekai, again, Minneapolis North graduates. You may remember their run with Larry McKenzie as head coach, trying to recapture that. What do we have here? Is that a backcourt violation? It's Chicago ball, I guess so. I didn't see it, but I wasn't looking that way. Oh! Clark with a shove on Faber, and Mike's going to go to the line for 2. The officials not aware of it initially. Faber with a couple points. And this is double bonus. We don't play with the college or high school rules. Chicago missing 5 of their last 6. They bring the press again. Minnesota breaks. Alley-oop. No. Chicago takes over. Open look to the lane. And Derek McDonald converts. QB. Call for the charge. Mike Faber draws it. Chance here for Chicago with 6:20 left in the second. Like we said, with the NBA rules, it doesn't take much to get a run. Hines with the denial. He'll go to the line for 2. Decoy Hines. Again, part of the Minneapolis North days with Larry McKenzie. Spent some time in the Continental Athletic Conference for Holy Family. Minnesota still stuck at 50%. Faber missing the runner. Clark skipped to Saba, but another offensive foul. Chicago's defense keeping them in this game. Drawing it was Adonis Bailey. 5:47 left in the second. Bailey. Too strong. Minnesota takes over. Trying for the outlet. Chicago got the deflection. Minnesota gets the job done nonetheless. Amor with the dime. Clark with the bucket. Balanced scoring so far for Minnesota as they lead by 13. Contested jumper. Saba, who has been everywhere. Another bump. Another offensive foul. That's the third time Minnesota has been tagged going down the lane like that. As you know, offensive fouls are team control, no free throws awarded. And at the pro level, or semi-pro, however you call it, they do not count on the tally. Stepping into the 3. Rebound, Tolbert. Chicago tries again. Saba. Another foul. Call for the push from behind on Laterio Tolbert. Or that might have been McDonald, actually. He's the one at the line. Three players in double digits for the Bulldogs. McDonald knocks down both. Chicago getting a lot of free throw trips as we have 4:43 left. That's Dekai Hines, his three short. Chicago, outlet, slam. Tolbert. 47-38. Chicago looking to stay within striking range. Haymore, oh boy, off the front iron. Clark, hounded and surrounded, ball stripped. Chicago able to keep it on this end. Again, their defense, a godsend as they have struggled a bit offensively with 4:03 left in the second. Step back three, another miss for Chicago. The jersey is coming undone. Goaltend was the call, although Dekai Hines missed the putback slam anyway. But something is up. The jersey for Akeem Cuby coming undone. It looks like the left sleeve, no, it's just tucked in a weird spot. A goaltend was called on Minnesota, plus the foul. I've never seen that before. But Adonis Bailey gets credit. He'll shoot one here. And he completes the three-point play. Timeout, 3:36 to go. Chicago looking to eke their way back in contention, 47-41.
Mic'd Up Sports is TSB Television's talk show series. Available on all major podcast platforms, we offer sports figures, past and present, a place to convey stories and adventures on a deeper level than our traditional game coverage. Whether you're a superstar athlete or someone who works behind the scenes, we'd be honored to share your story. If you'd like to be a guest, contact us at The Mike Peden on all major social platforms.
(47-41), Minnesota seeing their 13-point lead evaporate a bit. Looking to change that here on this drive, and if the officials are going to be calling a lot of contact plays, take advantage of it. Terrell Clark does, and he will shoot two. Clark's first one in and out. Clark blanks. Free throws have not favored Minnesota. Another three. Ricochets off the front iron. Chicago, again, using that pressure defense. The pass goes off the backboard, back to Minnesota. But too many Chicago jerseys. They leak out again. Saba's got to be careful. And he's called for the foul. You can certainly understand the desire to stop a fast break, but Minnesota having a hard time avoiding foul trouble here. They're going to give up 2 more free throws to Chicago. Stokes can reach double digits here. And does. Chicago 16 of 22, Minnesota 5 of 12, 47-43. Those numbers can and do add up. Saba. 2.5 to go in the second. 5 to shoot. Saba throws it away. Minnesota's offense unraveling a bit here in the second quarter. Minnesota getting the strip. Hines to Hines. The 3 is long. No look dish from Stokes to Darian Whiteside. 2-point game. Chicago got within 2 late in the first. QB has a couple of 3s in this quarter. Shaking all sorts of pressure to get the friendly kiss off the glass. Stevens accelerates, retreats. Step back 3, got bumped. Won't get the bounce, but he did bait Sean Scott, and that is going to mean more free throws. 3 of them. Minnesota, perhaps a little over-aggressive in this first half defensively. A little too eager to get the stop. And again, I certainly understand the desire to contest, to defend like that, but they're giving up a lot of free throws. And that is keeping Chicago in this game. Stevens up to 12 points now, and he has been money at the free throw line. All 3 of those. Chicago 19 of 25. 76% for you mathematicians. Clark. 3 from the corner. Short. That was 0 on the attempt. Jamar Hillman Manor. Minnesota going deep into their bench. Chicago ball, 46.1 on the clock. Ten to shoot. Shot clock really hasn't come into play all that much. Minnesota. Can they get another silencer like they did at the end of the first? QB with a tough fadeaway. Chicago can hold, but they're not going to wait. Second chance 3. Another O board. Chicago. Another 3. Long, another rebound. And Chicago can take the lead with more free throws here before we head into halftime. J.J. Stevens, who has hit his last 5. Chicago trailed by 13 earlier in the frame. But went on a big rally. Minnesota, as we said before, a little too sloppy defensively. It's a split for Stevens, but that does tie the game at 49 as we head to halftime. Chicago, 20 of 27 at the free throw line. If Minnesota can't clean up their act defensively, Chicago has that lifeline to stay in the game. But we still have 24 more minutes to play. Long way to go. We'll be back after a short break. This is NBL basketball on TSB Television. Minnesota and the Chicago Legends, even at 49.
Twin Cities sports broadcasting, and a whole lot more. That's what you get from TSB Television. We provide long-lasting digital coverage of your favorite athletes from the preps to the pros. Dazzling moves.
Holloman, good if it goes. Yes!
Game winners.
James, she's in trouble. Finds James. Toss shot! It goes in!
And everything in between. Before we let you go, do you want to say hi to anybody?
Oh, I don't know. That put me on the spot there.
If you want to connect with our audience, visit us at patreon.com/TSB Television or sponsor our coverage through PayPal and Cash App. Thank you for watching.
Second half about to start here at the High School for Recording Arts. Mike Beaton with you, all by myself, talking to myself. That's Chaos Theory. Minnesota and Chicago even at 49. Minnesota did lead by 13, but Chicago got a lot of free throw trips, and as a result, able to pad their advantage in that area, in that category. 20 of 27 from the line. Minnesota 5 of 12. That's plus 15. That adds up. First half numbers. J.J. Stevens leads Chicago with 14 points. Martell Stokes with 10. Derek McDonald with 8. On the Minnesota side, Saba and QB with 13 each. Terrell Clark with 11. And one note, one change. Akeem QB wearing the backup jersey after his regular one got torn up. So he'll wear number 30 for the second half. And I presume we'll get the number 15 jersey fixed at the first opportunity. So, we are ready to start the second half. And it will be Chicago ball as we switch sides. J.J. Stevens went on a free throw tear, trying to go on a three-point tear, cannot. And for Minnesota, as we said, the biggest adjustment, I think, for that second half, can they clean things up defensively? They got called for a lot of contact plays. That's a good way to start. Saba drains the floater. Again, Elijah, no stranger to this league. Been a part of this group for a long time. Stokes. Tolbert can't bank it off the window. Minnesota wants to go streaking. Count, no! Bailey draws the charge. Chicago excelling in that aspect. They've drawn 4 offensive fouls in the lane. I thought Bailey wasn't set in time. There was a bit of shoulder contact. Dishes out to Tolbert, and he loses it. Minnesota, let's see how they handle this trip. Saba couldn't hang on to the rock. Now Chicago has a wide open bucket. Well, a wide open second chance bucket. Derek McDonald will get credit for it. Bailey will not have a highlight added to his reel. I got a little too excited. Even at 51. Chicago can take the lead. Will they do it on a 3? No. Armani Scott out on the floor. QB fouled before the attack. It will go against Stokes. Bailey might have been in the restricted zone anyway. QB to Scott. Yes. Armani with his first field goal. Stevens to Stokes. The step through. Looked a little out of control there. Derek McDonald might have tried to force the issue. QB, the kick out. 3 ball. Long Karam trails to QB. Ooh, ill-advised pass. Now Chicago can go on the run, and they have done all sorts of wonders on the fast break. But J.J. Stevens was tagged by Armani Scott. Looks to be all right. That is not a player you want to lose if you're a Chicago Legends fan. J.J. Stevens putting up a lot of points at the line. A lot of players with this name. Now Stevens running into some difficulties at the charity stripe. In Chicago, a strong tradition with basketball. Although you have to go back a ways, the Bulls and their heyday in the 90s, the Chicago Sky won a championship in 2021 on the WNBA side, but more recently, organizational dysfunction has taken over. Stevens splits at the line. QB skips it to Scott. 3 ball, long, another O-board. Saba traveled. Stevens steps into the three, and it clanks off the back iron. Minnesota with numbers. Watch out. Extra pass. Oh, Saba had his back turned. I think he would have had an open layup if he spotted it, but Scott drains the runner from the left elbow. Points nonetheless. And that will be enough for Chicago to take a timeout. Still a close one, though. 8:29 left in the third. 55-52, Minnesota leads.
Mic'd Up Sports is TSB Television's talk show series. Available on all major podcast platforms, we offer sports figures, past and present, a place to convey stories and adventures on a deeper level than our traditional game coverage. Whether you're a superstar athlete or someone who works behind the scenes, we'd be honored to share your story. If you'd like to be a guest, contact us at The Mike Peden on all major social platforms.
$8:29 left in the third quarter. Chicago calling a timeout, even though it's only a one-possession game. They've been able to bounce back a couple of times. Bailey draws contact again. With the amount of foul calls on attacks in this one, I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago looks to that. A couple of Chicago teams duking it out in the NBL. This is one of them. Bailey had 5 first half points. Two more free throws for Chicago. Like we said, Minnesota has to play a little more stout defense to keep Chicago. Oh, a great fake. I've seen that before at the high school level. QB from Saba. One of the masters of that play was Azaria Chevre, who played Division I women's basketball, but Adonis Bailey doesn't give a lick about that. He sinks the three, and we're even at 57. Bailey up to 10. Clark. Up, not there. Bailey with the board. Saba tips it, but Chicago able to recover in time for the transition score. McDonald gives Chicago their first lead of the second half. Another walk, Minnesota. Those unforced errors, they've had a couple of them in this third. But like we said, "48-minute games, 12-minute quarters, that's a lot of time. So you can go down in a hurry, but you can come back in a hurry as well. Saba with the strip. He draws the foul. Sikelski back in there. Tries to bait McDonald on the fake, can't not do it. Second chance try from Decoy Hines, bounced away, and Chicago will take the dead ball rebound. J.J. Stevens working off the screen. Backdoor skip, short. Whiteside had the look. but not the finish. Clark doubled, finds Scott for three. Bullseye. Scott's first bucket since the first quarter. Stevens biding his time. Turn around. Oh, board, and one. Whiteside converts the look this time, and he can tie it up again with the free throw. Whiteside missing. Chicago splits at the line. Minnesota answers with a three. From number 3. Decoy Hines called for the foul on Catledge. And Minnesota out of fouls to give again with 5:22 left. Catledge, most of his work has come at the free throw line, just one field goal. Catledge makes both. Chicago 26 of 35. Minnesota says enough of this. Saba with a chance for three. Saba started off with 3 first quarter trays. And even though the Spring Lake Park graduate is coming off the bench, he has provided an emerging sense of leadership for this Bulldogs team. He completes the three-point play. That's Minnesota's first free throw attempt in some time. And it's back to a three-point edge. Kick out, 3 short. Scramble for the loose ball. Won by Chicago. They call a timeout. Understandable, but it took away an open look. Chicago will have to settle for a side out with 6 seconds on the shot clock. 4:56 to go in the third three-point game.
When the high school season is over, TSB Television goes on the highlight trail. Our highlight reels provide you with a valuable resource for recruiters and a keepsake of your favorite athlete. To learn more about our highlight reel services, contact us at tsbtelevision@gmail.com.
4:56 left in the third quarter. Chicago will have 8 seconds. Stevens on the move, tried to draw the contact, instead comes up empty, and that's the double whammy. Chicago had a foul to give, but Terrell Clark drawing one as he got bumped, trying to bring the ball up. Saba along the right side, side fade 3, bounces off the iron. Hines wrapped up Stevens from behind and is called for the foul. We're going to go back to the free throw line. And everyone except Stevens seems to be aware of that. QB with a rather pensive, peculiar mood along the bench as Stevens knocks down the front end. And the back end, his last 9 points have come at the free throw line. Chicago 28 of 37. Now Derek Hall issued a foul for getting a little too close to Clark. And now it's Terrell's turn to go to the line with both teams in the penalty. Remember, we play with NBA rules. And Minnesota, who has seen a scant number of attempts in comparison, a discrepancy in free throws usually is a point of consternation for the team on the lower end of that comparison, that categorization, but here's a chance for Minnesota to net a couple points. Clark does just that. He's up to 16. Minnesota 8 of 15. But they are minus 20 in free throw makes. Another bump. And the officials, again, have been pretty stingy when it comes to contact plays in the lane. Jalen Catledge will go to the line after receiving such a bump from Decoy Hines. And like Stevens, Catledge doing most of his scoring at the charity stripe. Only one field goal, everything else has come at the line. But Chicago continues to capitalize, 30 of 39, just over 75%. They read the lane, get the steal, but Clark able to get enough of a deflection, and Chicago nearly threw it away. Extra pass, the three. Rebound, won by the Legends. Mid-range J, swish. Bodies on the floor, Derek Hall with his first field goal. 69-68, another steal. Chicago playing full court defense throughout, and it has paid off handsomely. I remember the first Lakers game I did years ago. That was a photo finish. We may be headed that way here in our first Bulldogs game. Baseline attack by Catledge, unsuccessful. Clark, no look dish to Sikelski for two. And Kyle with his first field goal since the first quarter. Another exchange. We've got ourselves a chess match here, don't we? Off balance, Leaner doesn't go in for Hall. Minnesota doesn't have numbers. Hines goes to Sikelski, high pass. Blocking foul this time. And for Minnesota, perhaps a sense of relief. Sikelski missing the front end. He comes up empty. That was Decoy Hines working for every inch there. his efforts result in a foul call. So Decoy Hines will try to compensate for the Sikelski pair of misses. The Hines brothers have chipped in a few points, but Minnesota at least getting a couple of chances here. Another offensive rebound after a split. Hines under duress, had the ball poked away. He recovers and fouled. Or was a timeout call? No, a foul. The problem here for Minnesota, even though they're getting more trips to the line, they're shooting under 50%. So not only is Chicago outpacing them in makes, the percentages heavily favoring them as well. You'll hear the phrase, call it both ways, but you still got to make the most of these trips, and Minnesota having some struggles in that department. Decoy Hines splits again. Minnesota 10 of 21. And you look at some of the points they've left off the board. That might make a difference here. Of course, we still have 2 minutes left, and Chicago ties it up again on the left wing tray by Jalen Catledge. We still have another quarter to play, so nobody's won this yet. Now Chicago getting called for fouls here. It's time for Terrell Clark, who has 16 points. He comes up short. Minnesota may look back at the tape and reflect on all the missed freebies. Minnesota 10 of 23. If Chicago wins this game, that is a stat you're going to look on with much scrutiny. 1:34 left in the third. We've seen some great basketball, though. Chicago got here a little late, but you wouldn't know it. Hall had it, 5 to shoot. Whiteside. Doubled, but draws the foul. This will be his first trip to the free throw line with 1:22 left in the third. Whiteside missing the front end. Chicago, again, faring much better than Minnesota percentage-wise. But it will be a split for the Legends. But when you shoot 75% to Minnesota under 50, that makes a difference too. Samba, poke from behind. Chicago with a 2-on-1. Alley-oop! And the slam for Catledge, who has had himself a strong third quarter. Clark, dribble drive, draws the foul. Terrell Clark missed his last two. And if you're Minnesota, you got to make these. With Chicago keeping pace. Clark splits. 11 of 25. Minnesota 44%. Chicago on the fast break again. Whiteside lays it in, wanted the foul. It's the largest lead of the game for the Legends after they trail by 13. Another double, another steal. Left wing three. They crashed the glass again. Derek Hall with the putback. 79-73. QB lost it. Jump ball. Uh-oh. Oh my goodness. QB called for the technical, and you just can't afford to let that get to you. So 2 free throws for J.J. Stevens as bad becomes worse for QB. Stevens shooting. The DJ thought it was the end of the quarter. 81-73. It was a jump ball. We still have 11.6. So we still have to play out the rest of this one. So an 8-point lead for the Chicago Legends. And QB has been ejected for making contact with the officials. Tough break. QB, 15 points, got in a jump ball, and then just pushed the ref out of the way. Why he did that, I don't know. Certainly not what you want to see. Now we'll have the jump ball over at the Minnesota side, and QB will be sent off for the remainder of this game. The official tried to get in there. QB with the push off. As we said in the first half, when you put young men, young women, no matter the age, no matter the level out there, things can get a little animated at times. I've covered some Twin Cities games that got chippy. I've covered some rivalry games that got chippy. Minnesota wins the tip. Saba close to the sideline, and he draws the foul. So he's going to shoot 2 with 6.1 on the clock. Tough break for Akeem QB. And Saba got hit in the face, checking himself, making sure he's all right. 6.1 on the clock, and we still have a fourth quarter to play. Saba gets the front end and drop. Rebound. Clock didn't start. Now it goes. Another split for Minnesota. Chicago, 3 is blocked. And J.J. Stevens pleading with the ref about being fouled there. He's having to be held back. The emotions starting to surface in some rather animated ways. 81-74. We'll take another break. Minnesota has their work cut out for them as they trail by 7.
Twin Cities Sports Broadcasting, and a whole lot more. That's what you get from TSB Television. We provide long-lasting digital coverage of your favorite athletes from the preps to the pros. Dazzling moves.
Holloman, good if it goes. Yes!
Game winners.
James, she's in trouble. Finds James. Toss shot! It goes in!
And everything in between. Before we let you go, do you want to say hi to anybody?
Oh, I don't know. That put me on the spot there.
If you want to connect with our audience, visit us at patreon.com/TSB Television or sponsor our coverage through PayPal and Cash App. Thank you for watching.
One more quarter to go. 81-74 Chicago over Minnesota. The Legends lead the Bulldogs. Free throw shooting continues to be a heavy presence in favor of the Legends. And the other big development, Akeem Kubi ejected for making contact with the official after a jump ball. I don't think there was much room for interpretation in that scenario, but still a major absence as Minnesota, who led by 13, has some work to do. A traveling call, and Chicago sees a great setup wiped away. Sean Scott relaying an observation to Armani Scott quite emphatically. These NBL games, when I covered them back in the spring many years ago, I was at this very gym at the High School for Recording Arts. A lot of wild and wacky memories. Here comes Chicago with the scoop and score. That element also working in Chicago's favor, but you can't quite do that. By the way, for Chicago, I think I wrote this incorrectly. Number 10 is Rashad Rollins, not Darian Whiteside. Wanted to straighten that out. Whiteside is wearing number 10 for Minnesota. Rollins wearing number 10 for Chicago. The high-low lob broken up, and here is Rollins with the fast break. This game starting to get away from Minnesota. Largest lead for Chicago. Scott drags his feet. A series of unfortunate events plaguing the Bulldogs after they had a strong beginning. That second quarter when they were hitting threes, and Chicago found themselves struggling, has flipped. A lot of this has to do with the ball pressure as Rollins launches a three to get ahead of the shot clock. Comes up short. Saba had a good third quarter. He may need to step it up a notch for Minnesota to work their way back. Runner offline, dead ball rebound to the Legends. But we have a player down on the other end, hence the stoppage. It will be Chicago ball. But the player on the other end still getting checked out. That is Faber. And I do have to correct myself again. Rollins is 10 for Minnesota. Whiteside is 10 for the Legends. I did have it right. It's the first day. And rosters, what the? That's a timeout. It's game one. This is the time of the year where everybody feels each other out, gets their legs back under them. We'll take a break to do the same on our end. 10-13 left, 85-74 Legends lead.
When the high school season is over, TSB Television goes on the highlight trail. Our highlight reels provide you with a valuable resource for recruiters and a keepsake of your favorite athlete. To learn more about our highlight reel services, contact us at tsbtelevision@gmail.com.
It's 10-13 left in the fourth, and Sean Scott having a word with one of the spectators. Like we said, it is a little more casual in NBL action, but we've had quite the season opener. 3 offline from Catledge. Minnesota, still plenty of time, but they can't wait for long. Scott fakes, baseline drive, lays it in. He goes up to 7. Again, the free throws and Chicago's pressure defense, the 2 factors working most in their favor. Hall says right back at you on the dribble drive against Saba. Hall with just 6 points. But Minnesota, they're going to need to pick up some momentum. Scott, contested. A lot of yellow jerseys near the paint. And Terrell Clark will be called for the foul on the push-off while pursuing the rebound. This is Hall. Step back. There's the stop we're talking about. Minnesota launches the 3, looks long. Save for Clark. Ball poked out by Catledge. And we'll try this again. 11 seconds on the shot clock, 8:26 in regulation. Saba around, left it short. And a foul was called on Dakai Hines, number 99. So the double whammy. Admittedly, I don't know a whole lot about the Legends team, since I don't live in Chicago, but making their presence felt here. Faber missed the runner, but the offensive rebound gives the Legends a fresh 24. Again, NBA rules, but there are some modifications. Because in NBA and WNBA, the shot clock resets to 14 on an O board. In high school, it resets to 20. Stevens. Contact with Saba. Looking for the alley-oop, and Chicago flourishing again. Catledge scores. He's up to 19. Clark. Sidearm skip. No dice, but plenty of dice for Whiteside and the Legends, who now lead by 15. Minnesota takes a timeout, but the Legends in prime position for a runaway. 7:14 to go in the 4th. Chicago up by 15.
Mic'd Up Sports is TSB Television's talk show series. Available on all major podcast platforms, we offer sports figures, past and present, a place to convey stories and adventures on a deeper level than our traditional game coverage. Whether you're a superstar athlete or someone who works behind the scenes, we'd be honored to share your story. If you'd like to be a guest, contact us at The Mike Peden on all major social platforms.
Chicago outscoring Minnesota 10-2 in the 4th quarter, using the same mix of ingredients that helped them bounce back from a 13-point deficit as they now lead by 15. Minnesota, another turnover. Stevens. That could have been a dagger play with 7 minutes to go. Clark tripped up, and he's called for traveling. 5 to shoot. Chicago gets it off. Minnesota looking for the outlet. Saba with the finish. That was a rather peculiar stance on the part of the Legends, letting the shot clock go all the way down. But Whiteside isn't going to fool around this time. He's become a big second half presence. 93-78 with 6:22 to go. This gym, even though it's not the biggest in size, has seen plenty of great action over the years. Saba's 3 missed everything. Chicago will let it go out of bounds for a dead ball rebound. Hall around, gets the leaner, and 1. Looking up and down the Chicago roster, the Legends getting it done from a lot of different faces and names. Stevens with 19, Catledge with 19, Hall up to 8, can make it 9 here. Whiteside with 13. Balance, the key to victory in a sport like this. Chicago, even though they arrived a little late, they aren't showing any signs of rust. Couple of steals. Getting a little too cute though. Hall will get the finish, but Chicago trying a little too hard to make the highlight reel. Another steal. This is insane. Minnesota sending some coverage down now. A 3, swish for J.J. Stevens. Minnesota's going to call a timeout. 101-78. I have a feeling there will be some words in the Bulldogs huddle.
Twin City Sports Broadcasting, and a whole lot more. That's what you get from TSB Television. We provide long-lasting digital coverage of your favorite athletes from the preps to the pros. Dazzling moves.
Holloman, good if it goes. Yes!
Game winners.
James, she's in trouble. Finds James, toss shot, it goes in!
And everything in between. Before we let you go, do you want to say hi to anybody?
Oh, I don't know. That put me on the spot there.
If you want to connect with our audience, visit us at patreon.com/TSB Television or sponsor our coverage through PayPal and Cash App. Thank you for watching.
5:16 to go. And Chicago has locked up this one, it would seem. 101-78. Getting a couple of threes to drop. Saba has been the bright spot for the Bulldogs. He's got 23. Whiteside again through the hole and in. Whiteside 15 off the bench. Saba also coming off the bench. But this is what game 1 is all about. It highlights where you're at, what you need to do to get better, and it's a reminder that you got to come to play no matter who the opponent is, no matter when they get here. Chicago, again, had a late arrival, but right on time with their production. Minnesota's 3 off the back iron. Let's not forget, Minnesota led by 13. And then the wheels fell off in the second half. Chicago just all over the passing lanes. They're going to try the Globetrotter highlight again. And that would be the one knock I'd have against Chicago in the second half as Minnesota throws it away. Cedric Whitehead missing Reggie Rogers. Chicago trying a little too hard to get the razzle-dazzle mixtape reels in there. They're nice, but they don't mean a darn thing if you can't put them in. We do see the bench players, the deep reserves of going to finish this one out, including Deshaun Sutherland. Chicago Legends will get the season opening victory. And a reminder that October 19th is the next scheduled Bulldogs home game. So 3 weeks from now, during NBA weekend, back here at the high school for Recording Arts. Chicago hung in there with their free throw shooting. Built a slight lead in the third and simply took over in the fourth. The double teams, the reads up top, lots of turnovers, became fast break scores. And that was simply too much, in all likelihood, for Minnesota to overcome. Again, lots of talented athletes. They may not be household names, like Tyler Johnson was at Minneapolis North, and then for Minnesota, back in the NFL. Minnesota retrieves. Ball didn't hit rim, though. They got to get this. No, it did. They reset the clock with the exchange of possession. 3-ball corner pocket for number 2, Tyler McGee. Minnesota gets a steal. They'll try another corner 3. Now we're getting a little more scrappiness out of the Bulldogs, but too many missed opportunities. And just as I say that, they get another one from number 9, Reggie Rogers. So Minnesota makes back-to-back threes. I don't think it's going to be enough to overtake the Legends, 104-86 with just over 3 to go, but this is what you like to see. And remember, this is the season opener. 4 to shoot, Legends, another drive, not there. Minnesota gets the rebound, but the outlet too strong. Minnesota at times looking rattled. But this is what game 1 is all about, learning what you got, what you need to move forward. And what notes you'll take as Whiteside tips in the initial miss. Reverse doesn't drop. The second chance floater does for Tyler McGee. So he's got a couple of buckets. But Chicago, too much of that young man, too much of Whiteside, Stevens with 22. Minnesota throws it away. A century mark performance for the Legends. And they are going to run the clock, it seems. The game is decided, no sense prolonging it. There was a lot to like early about the Bulldogs. There's a lot to like about Chicago as well. Again, they just stayed with it. Whether it was second chance plays, tip-ins, the doubles defensively, they were sound. Free throws, they made several. And it's going to add up to a convincing win as we are in the final minute of play. Minnesota gets 2 more for number 10, Rashad Rollins. That's his first field goal. But this day belongs to the Legends. Left wing three. And Rollins with back-to-back buckets. A highlight for him, even though it won't come with enough time for a comeback. Again, this is why you play. This is why you bring your best no matter the time and the score. You never know when it could prove valuable later, whether it gets you more playing time or a starting spot. As this turns into backyard basketball in the closing seconds. A strong second half for the Legends. And they are going to let this one expire. They don't need to do anything more. What a performance, a defensive masterclass in the second half for the Legends. And they will finish this one with a 110-93 victory. Impressive work all around. We'll try to get a word with a couple of the Chicago Legends players. And for Minnesota, a rough second half. The ejection for QB didn't help matters. Elijah Saba, the bright spot. And a lot to look forward to, but they've got to fine-tune, polish up a few things, and they'll have plenty of time to do that with this being game one of a long season. Chicago Legends get the season opening victory, 110-93. This is NBL basketball on TSB Television. We're joined by J.J. Stevens and Darian Whiteside of the Chicago Legends. J.J., we'll start with you. 22 points. You got things going early for Chicago, and their defense, their free throws combined to turn a 13-point deficit into a runaway win. How did you turn things around?
Well, we started off slow as a team, so I just take it upon myself, as I see how the flow of our team is going, just to try to lead and keep us going and keep our energy high and the positivity level high as a team. And eventually we got it together. We picked up our defense. We got some stops, and we got back in the game.
When did you sense the tide was turning in your favor?
I say towards the middle of the second quarter, once we started cutting that lead down, and then at halftime, but when we tied the game, it was a completely new game. So I knew at that point the momentum had changed, and we were starting to get into our flow, so we were where we wanted to be.
Defensively, I don't think I've ever seen as many turnovers that led to fast breaks. Toward the end, it got a little Harlem Globetrotter-like, but you were able to turn a lot of those takeaways into points. Is that the crux of the defense, and how have you locked in to come up with quick scores like that?
Yeah, we pride ourselves on defense. Defense wins games. It's also a Chicago thing, man. It's from being from the city, man. We like to press. We like to get after the ball. We like to trap, and we like to speed up the intensity of the game. So we did what we needed to do, and we got it done.
Darian, you came alive later in the game, 15 off the bench, and part of a balanced effort from Chicago. When did you sense that you were turning things up?
In the third quarter. Because I just got off the road. As soon as I came in, I had to get in the game. So I told my team, just let me get to the third quarter, and we're going to win the ball game.
Well, I know Chicago, your whole team came in a little later than expected, so a quick warm-up, although it didn't show on the court. What do you think it says, though, to trail by 13 early and not get flustered and then use that to get a 20-point victory or something like that today?
Believe in ourselves. We've been here before. We did this before. Believe in ourselves. Trust each other.
And you mentioned coming from the city, you see a lot of this in Chicago. When did you get your start in basketball, and maybe who are some of your idols that you look up to even as adults?
I've had a ball in my hand since I was born. Literally, my first birthday, I got a basketball rim. So I've literally been doing this all my life. Some of my idols, I look up to LeBron James. Of course, Derrick Rose, being from the city. Shout out to Pooh, just retired. Yeah, Kobe, of course, Mike, of course. So, yeah.
All the big names. What about you, Darian?
I'm only 28, so I don't know nothing about no Mike. I say
What? Nothing.
I was born in '96, so
Okay, we'll give you that because you were an infant in the tail end of the Bulls dynasty. I'm sure JJ's told you all about it though, right?
yeah. So I say LeBron James, Kobe, a lot. Derrick Rose. I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Well,
Chicago thing though. We big on defense. I mean, we travel like 6 hours. I ain't coming to lose. No 6 hours. I ain't coming to lose. No 6 hours.
you were probably diagramming a bunch of defensive schemes all the way up here, weren't you?
No,
Not really.
no.
Not really.
All right, you were ready to go then. It's like, yeah, we did it all in practice, so it was all about execution.
We two championships in, so we know what we got to do. We know what we going. We flushed out 2 of their best players, 30 and 1. We get them out the game. It was easy for that. It was pickings.
Well, certainly a big win, certainly a great way to start the season. Looking forward, what are your goals? What are your plans? What do you hope to do this year?
Of course, take it one game at a time. Continue to build. Continue to gel. We left something on the table last year in the NBL at Maximum Madness. So, of course, that's our goal, to get back there and go get what's ours. But one game at a time.
Nah, I ain't gonna say that. Take one game at a time. I ain't trying to take nobody for granted. One game at a time. Like he said, we left something in Atlanta. I'm trying to get that back.
Hey, as I like to say, the biggest game is the next one on the schedule, right? Before we go, you want to say hi to anybody?
Shout out my family. Shout out the Chicago Legends, our staff. Shout out my girl, camera girl. Yeah, man. Shout out my teammates.
Farewell.
Well, thanks for stopping by. Congrats on the win, and perhaps we'll see you again, if not here, maybe in Atlanta or where the championships are held. But always a fun moment to get that season-opening win to start the year.
Of course. Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
J.J. Stevens and Darian Whiteside of the Legends. That will wrap up our coverage here from the High School for Recording Arts. For the rest of our crew, I'm Mike Beaton. Thanks for watching.